Tree Country 1330 WTRE 732. Happy Thursday. Good morning, Mayor Marsh.
Good morning, Emily. Happy Thursday to everyone in WTRE country.
We have snow flurries today, but we have daylight.
It is much brighter than it has been. It's still pretty cold.
It's 4.
There's no wind. Yeah, 4 feels pretty warm without the wind chill of -12, right? So we're making it. I think we might get above freezing tomorrow, which will be helpful. And then, next week it's going to be warmer, which will be great. And maybe raining, which will cause lots of snow melt and potential flood issues. We could just turn around from one thing to the next.
That's right. I don't think I'll miss the snow, though. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, everybody's ready for it to get out of here.
That's right. It's not pretty anymore, Like, it only stays pretty so long, and then it's over.
Yeah. But we're making it.
That's right. You've had a busy week?
Has been. There's been quite a bit going on. Of course, Tuesday was Super Tuesday for meetings. I spent some time at the State House on Tuesday with our Central Indiana Mayors Roundtable group, kind of chatting about some issues that we're still seeing in the General Assembly. There was an op-ed earlier this week that I wrote that if you haven't seen, it's available on our website. You can go take a look at that about what was Senate Bill 238, and now they're amending that into House Bill 1210, and that is in relation to the income tax structure and restructure that we've been talking about for well over a year on this program. And if you're a frequent listener, you're probably sitting at home going, oh, this again. But yeah, we're back because last year when we talked about meaningful historical property tax relief, that came with the increase in income tax at the local level, because that is the revenue stream replacement that the General Assembly provided. So we talked about it then. We're still talking about it, that there's an income tax increase coming alongside that bill and, that law now. And the General Assembly is kind of messing with that and not really fixing it in a way that is workable. So we're still struggling through that. It is last year we kind of went with the, okay, we'll wait for 26's legislative session to see, what the fix is, because what was written doesn't work. And now they're saying, well, we might just kick this another year. And when we have that happen, it actually truly does start to affect budgets and people and things, and a little less than ideal.
When you meet with that group, how many mayors are present for that?
It ebbs and flows. Obviously, we're in the midst of a kind of a full-on assault for our concerns. This affects every community differently, but it affects every community in some capacity. And so there were probably 30 there, Carmel, Noblesville, Westfield, all the way down to, Southport's and Lawrence and Greenfield's usually there. She wasn't there this week, or this month. But usually it ebbs somewhere between 10 and 25.
So when you're looking at that group, everyone's sharing the same concerns in general?
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities about how it works and how it affects. Now, it varies widely on, some places are actually better under the current legislation, but a vast majority are worse. But then they're more affected by the property tax piece, or vice versa. So there's a lot of very shared concerns about it. And then there are pieces of the legislation, including annual adoption, that is an unworkable requirement for everyone, because there are no bonding agencies. So if you think about getting a mortgage on your house, there are certain things you have to have. Like, one typically is a job, right? You have to have perpetual, predictable, steady income. Same thing for bonds, which are loans that governments get. If you want to build something and you want to tie it to an income tax rate, then the annual adoption, where city councils have to choose every year whether to do that or not, is not bondable funding, because no one's going to loan you money if you don't have a secure source of income. So that's a big problem for everyone.
So is this progressive? I know you're talking with House and state reps both. Where do you? There's probably just not an answer at this point. Let me just go with that. Of what we see happening.
Well, what we would like to see happen is there are these numbers that have been arbitrarily generated by the Legislative Services Agency, LSA, which is the one which is the one at the State House, the agency at the State House that generates the law. So if I walked in and said, as a state rep, hi, I would like to make it so that every car in the state of Indiana has to be blue, LSA is the one who would actually write the legislation. That also includes a fiscal impact. So if there's a fiscal component to the legislation, they generate the numbers for that, provide that to the member, and then the member introduces it or tweaks it or however. So the big ones are there's these arbitrary kind of made up income tax caps that do not fund municipal services and overfund county services to historic levels. In theory, counties could become wealthier than they ever have been, and cities would become so incredibly poor we'd probably have to stop providing or definitely decrease service levels across all agencies. Spoiler alert, the State of the Cities in a couple weeks. We're going to talk about that in there, so you'll want to maybe tune in and watch that section as well. But we want to be sure that we're taking care of our teams. We want to be sure that we're providing the level of service that we have and expect and that we currently do. This is not a discussion about growth and bigger budgets and anything else. It's about like getting back to 2024, 2025 budgetary numbers.
This is maintaining.
This is maintaining, yeah, in 2030. So we're already looking at a 5-year loss of annual increases just in cost of things, right? Assuming that nothing goes up for the next 4 to 5 years, we're still trying to get back to 2024, 2025 numbers under the current legislation. We're trying to get back to that. That's how bad this is. And then you add on 5 years of just general worldly inflation. I always make the comment, we don't manufacture toilet paper or tires, and we buy both. So if those go up, then we have to spend more just as everyone else does. So that's one, would be to change those arbitrarily created numbers. Another one would be that annual adoption piece. And then also, a little bit of delay doesn't hurt us, but we need to know where we're going, because right now we're supposed to have this done by 2028, but the data that we have to base this on doesn't exist. The Indiana Department of Revenue doesn't collect it, doesn't have it, and it doesn't exist. So we can't even model it. We can't implement it. And we're supposed to implement it by 28.
What's reception been like as you've talked to Senate, House? Are you getting much feedback when you're expressing your opinion?
It's been very mixed in that, just figure it out, do more with less, just do less, and, figure out how to grow your way out of it. But we also have growth caps. Like it's actually mathematically impossible to grow your way out of it. And it most negatively affects mid-sized rural communities. North Vernon is the second most impacted community in the state of Indiana percentage-wise. We're number 30. And so, we're number 30. And there's a lot of communities just like ours, Rushville, Shelbyville, Batesville, us, Columbus. Those kinds of things are on that top 100 list as well.
So we shall wait and see.
We shall. It'll be, we'll keep working on it. But, that's the stuff in the background that a lot of folks, maybe don't realize. And then, unfortunately, even folks at the State House that vote for these pieces of legislation don't realize. And last year, they did not entertain or listen to or consider the impacts to municipalities, even though we were screaming very loudly. And again, if you're a frequent listener to this program, we were talking about it right here last year, and the impacts that it was going to have. And
when you look, and just for review for people, if we look at this and we look at the impact that it could have, this is going to affect jobs, our coverage across.
Yeah,
there's a lot of potential.
There is a lot of potential, and we have to work very hard to minimize what that is. We've got to take care of our team. We've got to provide the service that people want and expect. This is not about capital. This isn't about purchasing things or projects. This is really about operations, and those two things are traditionally separate, and they are separate. You can only use some funds to pave roads. You can only use some funds to build things. You can only use some funds to buy things. This actually affects the operations account, which is where we cover personnel, benefits, contracts for legal and financial, things to run the city, and the operations of departments. These are operational. They're not like, oh, well, just pave less roads next time because we're eliminating your road paving fund. Like, no, that's not being affected by this. What's being affected is the operation. So we're fighting. You know, I want to be sure we don't get an FCC violation, but
No.
we're fighting really hard to make sure that we can continue to do it, because folks here want and support and desire to have the level of service that we do. My mission is to continue to provide that, and we just need some partners in Indianapolis to see the value in the services that we provide to our local residents.
So if people are listening and have that concern, they can reach out to our representatives.
Yeah, I mean, I maintain very good relationships with a lot of state reps and state senators, but obviously we have 3 state representatives for Decatur County. And this affects counties and in small towns too. It's not just a Greensburg thing. So really, no matter where you're at, it does affect you. You know, Lindsay Patterson, Alex Zimmerman, and Jenny Meltzer are the 3 representatives that represent Decatur County. If you live in the city of Greensburg, it's Representative Meltzer. And then Senator Gene Lysing represents all of the Decatur County area. So those are our 4, but there's a lot going on out there.
All right, very good. Well, locally you had Super Tuesday as well on Tuesday. You had quite the Tuesday.
Tuesday was very busy.
It was busy, yes.
We did. So we actually had 5 for 5 of the meetings.
Ooh.
So I don't, back to back to back to back to back. But we did get quite a bit covered. We are still at the water board is first. We still did have an update from Darren Burkhardt about Broadway and 10th Street. We're going through kind of permitting processes. We're working with the state because we're going to go under the bypass with that project a little bit. And that is still making some progress. There's no timeline for that to roll out yet, so he gave us a very quick, brief update on that. There was a little bit of discussion about the Main Street reconstruction project. That timeline is still shifting around. It is supposed to go to bid, I think, this summer. I don't know if we'll see any work on Main Street this year or not. But that will probably get started in 2027. That goes all the way from the bypass to Ireland Street, there sort of near City Hall, and then from Lincoln Street out to the library. 2 separate projects, 2 separate phases. They've been tinkering with the schedule and potentially we've gotten mixed messages on what that looks like, so we'll keep everybody updated as that goes on. And then I know there was an article on WTRE's website, but we did announce Tuesday night publicly as well that Donna Lecker, who is our utilities manager, is retiring, and she's been with us for 33 years.
Crazy, isn't it?
It is.
She's had quite the career.
She has. So, Donna's been with us a long time. She's overseen a lot of stuff, been a part of the team, multiple mayoral administrations. Again, we're going to talk about her retirement in the state of the city, so I'll tease that as we talk about some of the things that she's overseen and some of the hurdles that she's cleared in her career with us. But we're super excited about an internal promotion into that role as well. Dory Baker, who's been with us for 24 years.
I was going to say, the one stepping in, Dory has
Yeah.
had several years too. So
Yeah, she's been great. She's been the assistant manager since 2010, I think, is what she said on Tuesday. So she's getting ready to step into that role, which we're super excited. It's always great when you have somebody on the team that has a fresh energy and passion for the job, even though maybe they've been on the team a while, right? Like we've seen the internal promotions of Baron Schwinderman and Joe Kane over the last couple of years or last year in our utility. So in April we will have 3 brand new utility leads, which is not happened in 30 plus years. We've, Rick Denny and Jeff Smith served years in those capacities as well. So we've got new leadership across our utilities, but that's bringing a renewed interest and excitement from all of them, and I'm excited for them and the work that they're going to do.
Exciting step.
It is. Aviation board followed that. Not a lot of info out of that, just mostly getting things updated for the year. One of the big ones, again, a change in staffing was Gary Bailey did give his first half of a report. Jerry Scheidler gave half of the report, and then Gary gave the second half. So they're working through the transition out there. Jerry's last day as airport manager will be next Friday, the 13th. and he's going to step away. When I was meeting with him and Gary out there last week, the discussion about length and longevity and just working institutional knowledge, and Jerry said, "Well, I've been here longer than every building except that one right there," and so. He's definitely seen it grow, and we wish him well in his retirement. He does have an airplane out there still, so I'm sure he'll still be around.
He'll be around, yeah. Not leaving Greensburg.
No, and so Gary's excited about getting that started. He is working on implementing and getting like a movements tracking software that will give us a better idea of data about number of planes that come in, take off land. Obviously, we know fuel sales, etc., but just trying to build some more data around what's happening out at the airport.
Very good.
So that was the airport board. Nothing too terribly exciting there as well. Over at the Redevelopment Commission, we were supposed to hear from County Commissioner Gabe Nobby again. He was coming back to ask about the pool project. They've made a lot of progress on that, and I think Commissioner Gabe Nobby has done a great job with that.
He has. The funds have really came in for that, and excited. I know they're hoping for this year to open the pool.
They're out there building it.
They're there, yeah. So
I drove by the other day, and they were tearing down the house. There was an excavator doing that. There was excavators at the pool, and they're finishing up the building out there. So there's a lot happening on that corner that the county's overseeing, which is great to see.
There is a lot of movement, but excited for the pool to come back to life.
Yeah, so he was not able to make it, so they've tabled that. They'll have that conversation next month as well. And then there was sort of a 2.5-part series that came with Ironman Developments, which is the old jail site property. And I think Chris had a story on that as well. Not to keep promoting Chris, but he does a great job covering our meetings. The Alex Blake came and gave an opportunity to share with the Redevelopment Commission what the plans look like. They released a rendering of the building, 4-story brick, architecturally complementary to our downtown. They've really done a nice job of making sure that it looks like it belongs in Greensburg while also adding an elevated piece of the puzzle. And so he was there to talk to the Redevelopment Commission about that. And then he also was, more importantly, at the Board of Zoning Appeals asking for some variances because they are maximizing the site. Like they have done a great job. They've been incredibly good to work with. From our side, they've understood, we have local zoning and ordinances that we want to be implemented through our UDO. And then they just asked for some very minor tweaks to some of those to make sure that they could fit as much. Honestly, it all comes down to parking, right? Sure. It's a small lot. It's 100 plus beds. You have to have so many parking spots, etc. They are actually purchasing the lot that's across the railroad tracks, sort of behind like where Martin Overhead Door is.
Okay.
They're purchasing that from the city as well. They're doing off-site parking for their residents and going to make an investment in that lot. So, pave, curbs, landscape component over there too. But they come through and seek some very minimal variances, 1.5 feet on a perimeter yard, just so that they could get, one extra spot or 2 spots, right? So just by shrinking that 18 inches, we gain 2. Okay, because one of the variances was the total number of spots. But they're doing it right, and they've been great to work with. They're trying to meet our ordinances and understand why we value that, while also trying to balance parking availability. We want them to have enough parking, that helps.
Absolutely.
Everything else. But I talk about them, and I cannot be more complimentary of them. They've been phenomenal to work with. They've gone above and beyond. They're going to build a great quality product. Studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms in downtown. Talking, bringing 150 probably minimum, if not maybe 200 people into downtown. Talk about foot traffic. Talk about disposable income. Talk about restaurant support, shopping support, working out of the branch. All of those things will come from this, and I think in 20 years we'll step back and look and say that project right there was a catalyst. In addition to the other work done, it's not a singular problem and project to do, but when you inject that many folks into an already developed area, so everybody's always urban sprawl. We're redeveloping, we're using existing infrastructure. They're the ones that are covering, the site improvements. They've purchased the lots, and then the residents. Which again, back to the conversation we had at the very beginning of this, where The state wants us to focus more on income tax and less on property tax. So the more people we have, the more income tax that can be generated. So when you talk about bringing somebody who makes more than the average income, and then 200 new folks, that helps offset a lot of that.
The renderings are on our website. Chris posted some pictures of beautiful, beautiful buildings. So excited to see that come to fruition. It seems like it's been forever getting to this point, doesn't it?
There's been a lot of hiccups and hurdles. It's a big project. When I'm incredibly excited about it. We've been working with them for 3 years on it. The Redevelopment Commission's been very supportive. The state of Indiana, through the redevelopment tax credits, has been supportive. Our region, our Ready region, have been supportive with Ready dollars. So there is a lot of support out there for this project. And I think when you get it done, it will be one of those projects when you're like, I can't believe this got built in Greensburg. And I'm excited about that, right? Because that will help the next one and the next one. And so it does look great. They've done a wonderful job. It has taken a very long time. I told them I cannot wait for them to break ground, and I cannot wait for them to cut a ribbon. So let's go.
Next summer?
Yeah, so construction this spring will begin, and then July of next year is when they intend to be open and leased up. But leasing will start earlier than that, probably late fall.
It's interesting. I was out yesterday, and someone had seen Chris's story, and they were asking me about the apartments where they were going to be, and they said, we want to lease one. And I said, well, it's not quite time, but it will be. Just stay tuned.
We'll get them in touch.
That's right.
They can pick their unit. I'm sure they'll get it done.
Quickly, it will happen.
Yeah. So that's a big step in the right direction. And then honestly, the Plan Commission was the last meeting of the night, just to cover all 5, and it was on that parcel. It was carving out this little corner where the cell tower, the emergency management tower, sits, and that was it. That was the 5 for 5.
That was a big Tuesday from start to finish, right?
It was a big one.
You made it though.
We did.
Yes. As we look around town, construction continues. As we're looking towards warmer weather, because that's my mindset now. Like, we have to move out of wintertime. But as far as construction projects, paving, those kind of things, have you looked to what that looks like for the summer?
So far, the only pavement work that's on the schedule for 2026 is Freeland Road. That's a holdover from last year.
It is going to happen.
It's supposed to. We've got a contract for that, so I would think it would. But without being awarded Community Crossings matching grant funds for 2026, now there's some discussion that they're going to do like this random one-off allotment of funds that we could go back and apply for. Again, we have to apply for them, so no guarantee. But without being awarded any funding for 2026, we don't anticipate doing any funding or paving work really to city street components. We are looking for the forward to a build, operate, transfer agreement to do some downtown improvements on some secondary streets / alleys / different work with some more. We have some ready dollars left from the Washington Street Broadway project, or Washington Street Franklin Street project. Those there's a few bucks left to spend in downtown, and we're trying to best deploy those by the end of the year. But that will be, I think, it'll be a good project, but it'll be relatively minor and small, and trying to just focus on some of the areas that are the worst, that are very heavily traveled. We don't typically get into alleys just because we don't have the funding to do that, but these dollars have to be spent in that region, and it's probably a good opportunity to deploy some of those, but that will be relatively minimal and minor. The Main Street Greensburg's 112 South Franklin Street, which is a partnership that we've done with them by giving them the building. The Ready region has given them some dollars as well, so I think we will actively see some work happening. I know we will actively see some work happening on 112 South Franklin, which would be great. That section, with the dog-eared pages, the bookstore that's open there, with the improvements to Franklin Street, with the apartment construction. The main entrance to that will be on Broadway, but they will have a Franklin Street entrance as well. Okay. So I think we could definitely see some foot traffic improvements over on that side as well. So those are the big ones sort of in downtown, I guess you could say. Whether the state ends up doing anything on Main Street or not, TBD. That won't be until later the year. And, Liberty Lakes is still, I think they're up to 28. We had 20 permits last year with 12 sold, I think is what we ended 2025 with. But I think we're up to 28 permits or 28 permits or completed of the 102 available lots.
It continues to grow. Pop.
Yeah, their intention was to be out of there, meaning totally built out, by the end of 27. And so at this rate, they should easily meet that.
Yeah.
I don't know that they'll meet it by the end of this year, but they didn't get started very early last year. So they've built a lot.
They have. They just continue to pop out there. Big news, Zaxby's is open. We've been waiting.
We have been. It opened on Friday last week. Some folks thought maybe it had opened on Thursday.
There was activity out there,
There
apparently.
was, but I think that was staff training. So Friday seemed to be the day, and I know there's been some great reports. There's been some less than ideal reports, but it's one of those things you can't judge a book by its cover. Give it some time. I've been to Zaxby's before. It's great. It was exciting. I came back into town from a meeting, I think maybe Monday night this week, and it was about 8:30, and it was lined up all the way around the building to get through. Now I will say, within the snow doesn't help. It's a tight lot. I went Tuesday after Super Tuesday, just grab something, try it out, support them. They were busy still. It's a tight lot. Be careful, but give them some time to get the bugs worked out.
A little grace for everybody.
Yeah, they were working hard. The young man that I'm sure is probably a junior or senior in one of our high schools was trying really hard to learn the process and the system, and so no worries on that. Everybody, it'll be okay. Sometimes you sit in line longer at Starbucks. Don't worry about it.
It's okay. That's right. Good time. The new Dollar General continues. It looks like they're getting close.
I would think so. They've got a sign out that says now hiring, but I think they're missing some of their signage still. They're still out there working on it, but I would think that they would be getting pretty close. I haven't seen shelves or anything come in. So
parking lot's paved, and there's arrows, so that
there you go. That's
in
right.
my head, it's close.
What else do you need?
Exactly. All right. I know we touched a lot on the State House, but any other big things that you're watching with legislation?
We are watching 1001, which is it pretty much just removes local government control over a lot of zoning, and that's really bad for lots of reasons because it's the erosion of local control. It is saying that the Indianapolis General Assembly knows how to run our communities better than we do, and that setbacks and neighborhood design standards and what neighbors would like to see don't matter because the state's going to tell them what it can do. So we don't need that. And it also is a slippery slope. Now it's this, and next it's that, and then after that it's one more thing, and then pretty soon why even have local governments? And you cannot change it. We go through a comprehensive plan every 5 to 7 years. We did a updated Unified Development Ordinance. All of that involved public hearings and open houses and public sessions. People had the opportunity to come out and share what they liked, what they didn't like. And no one's even invited me to comment on the State House's design standards or lack of. So I'm sure they don't really care what the neighbors think either. And that's really unfortunate and frustrating. So we'll keep working on that and see. The legislative session is scheduled to be over by the end of this month. I think maybe the 24th or that week. And the Decatur County Chamber of Commerce is hoping they're hosting their legislative update on the 20th. 11:30 at City Hall. It is free and open to everyone. Feel free to come listen, hear, share what you think.
All right, very good. We will continue to see what happens. It's been a fast session for them. Like it's gone very quickly.
It's actually been almost irresponsible because they shaved off 2 weeks at the end of an already short session, and they are cramming so much stuff through. Like there's a lot of really bad legislation, not only for governments but for lots of other industries out there. I really wish they had just stopped and focused on the couple big ones, had real meaningful conversations, and then see what we do later.
That's right. We'll see. We'll see you next week.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.
It's 8:02 on Tree Country 1330.